All right, we're going to take a look at Keep On Connecting. It's pretty simple in Death Stranding 2 to meet 90% of the facilities. Just like in the first game, you have a smaller area that you can deliver to and complete standard orders to, followed by a larger area. In the first game, it was the eastern region, and then you moved on to the central region where pretty much the rest of the game took place, and then you would eventually get to the ending area. Here we have Mexico for the first 8-10 hours of the game, probably not even that much, and then you move on to Australia for the rest of the game. So let's take a look at the facilities in Mexico real quick. Obviously, you start with Sam's shelter, and then the story brings you to 90% of the facilities here. You go to C1, and then you travel over to Villa Libra, and then it brings you to C1 South Distribution Center, and then the former geophysics research lab with our buddy from the weather station in the first game. And you head off to the plate gate. So the only two other facilities that you need to visit before you leave Mexico, or at least in order to get working towards meeting everybody and connecting everybody, is the Boca, who is right here. And the Boca is in a camouflaged site, so a little hard to find on its own. But once you find a lost bit of cargo, which would mostly be found in the wooded area here, especially in the mule camp, feel free to look in here, and you will have to go in here for the story anyway. So you should stumble upon something for the Boca at some point. If not, look in this area as well, below the forest. And the other facility that you aren't directly introduced to in the story is the artist, who is at the top of, well, nearly the top of the large mountain here in Mexico. And you can almost see their site from C1, which is down here in the valley. Again, the artist, I found some of her lost cargo very close to where she was. I believe it was probably over in this area or on the other side here. There's a bunch of aid requests to build structures in this area, and so you have a few reasons to be in this area anyway, so you should be able to pretty quickly find some lost cargo for the artist and the Boca. The Boca especially is great to start working on because he unlocks a couple useful things you can fabricate. The artist is mostly just colors of paint, but nothing wrong with that. And if you'd like to express yourself a little bit, everybody else, very easy to meet. And also, I think I was 90% done reaching 5 stars with everybody before I even went through the plate gate and started Australia. Or I'm completely wrong on that, and I couldn't do standard orders until we got to Australia, because the first standard order I completed was in Australia. So I think I remember going through that earlier and realizing that I couldn't even build 5 stars with any of these. But either way, certainly there's enough time to come back here and get everybody at 5 stars fairly quickly once you get standard orders unlocked and you get a couple more abilities and structures and things unlocked that are going to help you get through everything much faster. We'll take a look at Australia next. Okay, so we just popped back into Australia. Let's take a look at the map here. I brought the Magellan to the government's base, the first facility that you visit once you get into Australia. And the government's base is, part of the story, but they're also going to have a sub-order, Order 100, that is going to give you the opportunity to meet the lone commander. I don't really remember there being any direct story orders for the lone commander. And I remember when the government base mentioned, oh, this guy, he's kind of a lone wolf, kind of keeps to himself. Why don't you go pay him a visit? In the suborder, I kind of took that as this is your only chance here. So go ahead and meet the lone commander with suborder 100 when you can, and you want to work on this guy. He's not easy to please, to be honest. He's a little bit of a curmudgeon, and you know, but there's plenty of there should be enough orders, even though his facility is in a horrible place. There's a lot of BTs around where he is, but this guy is great because he can give you the sniper rifle, and then if you get to I think about 4 stars, maybe all the way to 5, eventually at some point he's going to give you the silenced sniper rifle, and that is excellent for taking out brigands and for using for a lot of different things. So that is the first extra person you're going to want to reach out to. So government base, and then pretty much right after that you're going to have the ability to meet the lone commander with suborder 100. Then they're going to bring you over to the Western Environmental Observatory, which looks like that. Peter Gates. Then you're going to meet Kate Siegel, Olivia Westbury. After West Fort Knott, you go to the musician, and then back to West Fort Knott, and then you go to Rainbow Valley, I believe is how it works, and then over to Rainy Shelter, where you'll pick Rainy up, and then there will be a couple orders later, or maybe much later, there'll be a suborder to make a delivery back to Rainy Shelter, and then you will start working on very quickly being able to get to 5 stars with the residents of the shelter. And then speaking of shelters, from Rainbow Valley and Rainy Shelter, you will go through the fire and the flame to the animal shelter, where you'll rescue a kangaroo and bring it to them. And then I believe from the animal shelter you'll go down to F2 for the first time and meet Samson. And then, if I'm remembering correctly, and again, the information in front of me tells me a little bit differently, but I could have sworn that Samson mentions the Dowser as someone who's kind of off in the distance, keeps to herself. She could really use some deliveries, and there's a sub order you could bring to her. I could have sworn it was a sub order and not a regular order as part of the story, but it must be part of the story because the cargo that you bring to the Dowser in order to meet her and make the connection with her is someone we will be rescuing quite a few times throughout the game, the adventurer. Of course, you don't know who that is yet, but you will go into, I don't remember which one it is. I believe it's probably this one. I think it's this brigand camp. No, it's not this brigand camp. You go in there for other reasons. It might be this one, or maybe even this one. I don't know which one it is, but you go in there and rescue the adventurer and bring him to the Dowser, and you go further on. Also, at some point, you will have deliveries from F2 to West Fort Knott, And as you're going back and forth, if you're working on the monorails and you're getting the mines going and so forth, you'll notice this tiny little island here all by itself. Of course, none of these little things will be here because you'll be off the network. And in the middle of this tiny island, there is the inventor. And right on the coast here, there is plenty of lost cargo for the inventor. Go ahead and connect with him, drive through the tar over to him. Just keep using your Audra deck and make sure you stay on the yellow little back and forth in order to get over here. And then once you get him on the network, you'll be able to use zip lines to go back and forth. The inventor unlocks a lot of great items. Most of them, they were from the original game, from the first game, but it's nice to get them kind of back in your inventory for fabrication. So he's another one that you are going to want to connect with by finding some lost cargo. So we got all that done. Then we have Mike Flanagan over here, the Northern Environmental Observatory. And I don't believe I missed anybody else. Musician, Rainy Shelter, Animal Shelter, F2, the Dowser. Here is the mine where, back here is where I found an albino animal. Here is a very important site for a couple of trophies we'll be looking at later. And another mine. And then you have this area. So you're going to be introduced to, I believe it's, the next is Hartman's Lab. I'm trying to remember the order here. Hartman's Lab, then the Pizza Chef, then the Data Scientist. These are all story. Then the Data Scientist, I believe, sends you here to get a BB pod and deliver it to the Motherhood for the story. But also here was where I found the Pizza Chef's Masanga. So we went back to the Pizza Chef, and at some point in all of this, and again, I'm trying to remember exactly when it happens, but at some point you're going to be given Suborder 105, which is from the Pizza Chef, where you deliver a piping hot pepperoni pizza to the architect. So whenever that is available, whether it's as soon as you meet the Pizza Chef or after you return his Masanga, or at some other level for him, whenever it does pop up, make sure that you grab Suborder 105 and bring it to the architect post haste so that you can connect with him. The architect, by the way, fantastic person to get to as high of a level on stars as possible. They will, I don't remember if this is once you reach 5 stars or before 5 stars, but they will go around and they will automatically refresh all of your structures, and you'll get little notes every few hours of playing the game that the architect went and he repaired your zip line, and he worked on your safe house and made sure your roads are, nice and good and stuff like that. Maybe not the roads and rails, maybe it's just the structures, but I definitely remember seeing the architect fixed up your stuff for you quite often. So that's always very helpful. So that's him. So you want to make sure that you keep that going. Then once you get done with this little quadrant, you go into the desert with the Motherhood, and then I believe it's the Mechanic next. Mechanic also very useful to work on getting as high rank as possible, because the Mechanic will give you the Coffin Board, which is a very useful item for traversing over pretty much any surface, but especially over the tar, over water, and over any flat surfaces like the sand that you get here. Outside of the story, there is the Pioneer. And the Pioneer can mostly be started by finding some lost cargo. There should be lost cargo right around the entrance of the Motherhood in this area right here. And I believe he reaches out over the SSS and says, "Hey, I dropped this here. Would you mind bringing it to me? I understand you're over at the Motherhood, and I would love to meet you." I think it's something like that. I'm gonna take a look and let's make sure that that's what it is. So I went through the SSS and I found the post that mentions the package, and it's actually from the Dowser. "Can you deliver something to the Pioneer using my dowsing skills? Track down a piece of lost cargo and found it near the Motherhood. It's meant for the Pioneer, so could you deliver it to him?" So obviously it shows you right where the picture is and right where the package was retrieved, and so you can pick it up from there and bring it to the Pioneer and meet him and connect for that. Story-wise, though, from the mechanic, you'll go to East Fort Knott, and then East Fort Knott will send you to the chronobiologist. Biologist, you'll get an order to go close to where the data scientist is and rescue a time fall resistant emu, which you will deliver to, I believe you bring the emu to the sorry about that, animal shelter first, and then you bring it to the metagenomicist, or maybe it's the other way around. Metagenomicist, and then once she's done doing her after she's done doing her kind of tests on the creature, then you bring it to the animal shelter. This is part of what I thought was an albino delivery, an albino animal delivery for the animal shelter. But even though, and I will show you right here, because I was just looking at the SSS posts to find the one that brought you to the Pioneer. I swear this emu looks albino. This is completely non sequitur to what we're talking about here, but I mean, look at that thing. That looks albino almost. Anyway, you get the point. Anyway, so you are going to meet the metagenomicist from her sister in real life and in the game, the chronobiologist. It's going to send you to the metagenomicist. You are also going to go from the metagenomicist, I believe, to our old friend Victor Frank at F5. Along the way, you will be able to see the fisherman. You could stop in, look for some lost cargo, but I believe from the from F5, you'll get a sub order 115, to deliver to the fisherman. You definitely want to start working on the fisherman. His quest line is quite interesting. It involves this giant tar lake. He will tell you all about it, and we will be putting quite a bit of footage together so that you can work on the Lord of the Tar Lake, which is right here. But suborder 115 will get started with the fisherman, and he gives you he's the one who gives you the backpack cover. So I do like the fisherman. So you want to work on getting him ranked up, but not just for the items that you get, also so that you can complete his quest line. Then from here, where are you? F5 is here. You will be sent over to the adventurer. Okay, so this is the point I wanted to mention. Some of these areas, we're going to start heading into the mountain. There's a lot of very steep, snowy peaks. At this point in the game, you haven't unlocked the snow tires yet, but I have seen a few people playing through and getting to this point in the story when the game first came out. While I was also playing along. I was following other people who were able to show the game as it first came out in that first month that they had it before it was released to the public. And some people I noticed were able to grab trucks that had the snow tires already on them at this point in the game. And so their traversal wasn't too difficult to get up these giant mountains. But if you are having any trouble for the sites we're going to look at in the next few minutes here, as you are progressing through the story, just remember that eventually, once you get to, I think it's South Fort Knott or Southern Environmental Observatory. One of these guys. One of these guys gives you the ability. I'm pretty sure it's South Fort Knott. Gives you the tire upgrade for your truck so that you can grip the road a lot better, which will help you go up these mountains a lot better. Because driving up the mountain with a truck that doesn't have snow tires is really annoying. Very annoying. Anyway, let's continue. I'm kind of rambling here. So the adventurer, and then you've got a lot of other people to meet. And of course, the adventurer, you already met him, and you're just going to love the adventurer, let me tell you. You're going to love his quest line, because it definitely does not feel like something you're going to shake your head at. So from him, you go to the Eastern Environmental Observatory, which is... Oh, right, we're going to go up the mountain. This is why I mentioned the truck. You're going to go up the mountain to the Eastern Environmental Observatory, and then he is going to give you suborder 122, so you can branch out and meet the aeronautical engineer. Go ahead and do that. The aeronautical engineer is, again, like I said, very hard to get to. If you go across this area and then down the mountain and then back up, you should be able to get there. And if not, this is a good time to kind of hold off until you have those snow tires. But anyway, aeronautical engineer, very good. Gives you a lot of great stuff, and worth looking into. So then through the story, you'll meet the Phantom Smith, and then you will meet South Fort Knott. And South Fort Knott gives you the spiked tires. So again, only a few story deliveries in between Eastern Environmental and South Fort Knott. So if you can't make it over to Aeronautical Engineer, then return to it once you get the snow tires going. From the South Fort Knott, there is the tar therapist, who's pretty easy to find and to get to. He's not in the mountain area. He's kind of down here, pretty close to the roads if you've been upgrading your roads and using those to get back and forth. He is one of the very few people that you'll just find lost cargo for him in this area, and you can deliver it to him and kind of connect with him and start that. Not too hard of a guy to please. A lot of his deliveries are along this route between Terminal Knot and East Fort Knott. You just kind of keep going back and forth on this road, delivering to the tar therapist, and you should get him done pretty easily. Story-wise, then, you can go to the Southern Environmental Observatory. Sorry, I see it. I'm looking at it, but the cursor's not on it. There, and then you can go up to F7, and then F7 will then send you to Terminal Fort Knott. So at this point, if you're doing standard orders, you'll notice F7 will have a lot of standard orders for the adventurer and for other people in this area, and you're going to go right past BPAS. There are some lost cargo in this area and down through here on your way down to Terminal Fort Knott. So feel free to pick up lost cargo when you stumble upon it, deliver it to BPAS, and you can work on connecting with them and getting that going. Terminal Fort Knott obviously is one of the last story delivery places you're going to be introduced to, and that is because there is only one more facility we haven't talked about. We talked about BPAS, we talked about the Tar Therapist, we talked about those who need suborders like Aeronautical Engineer and Ghost Hunter. We talked about the Pioneer, who you get a message for. We talked about the Architect, who has a suborder from the Pizza Chef. I talked about the Dowser again. Maybe I was confusing the Dowser having a order for you for the Pioneer versus being a suborder in order to introduce her. And we've talked about the Fisherman, who also was a suborder. But there's one place here, Lone Commander, of course, we talked about. There's one person here, and it's not even one person. If you have not met Mr. Impossible, boy, let me tell you. Mr. Impossible is here, and it is 2 people. And this is the one facility that actually provides you with some challenge and some fun deliveries that are going to make you remember how hard and how fun and challenging it was to S-rank the 40 different standard orders for all 5 categories that you needed to do in the first game, because Mr. Impossible gives you a lot of fun deliveries that require you to really challenge yourself, deliver large amounts of cargo, speedy deliveries, and handling very fragile items. And their final order is super fun and takes a lot of preparation, and we will be taking a look at that as well as a lot of their other orders. But the rest of this video is going to, unless it's too long and we'll make it a second video, we're going to take a look at where I found their lost cargo, which was, let me get my bearings here. Yeah, their lost cargo was right around here, where this coffin is, right about there. That's where I found it. You can see they're here. I found it there, but I have heard other people say that they have found their lost cargo in this icy area around this this building where you do a lot of ghost mech fighting during the story. So look all through this area. After you come here for the story and you battle those ghost mechs, look out for any lost cargo you see in any of this area and bring it to Mr. Impossible. And if you can't find it there, I'm going to show you the location where I found mine, and then you can connect your final facility and get everybody started on working up to 5 stars. Okay, so the second half of this video is going to be all about getting Mr. Impossible onto the network. If Mr. Impossible is already on the network for you and you're waiting to connect some other facility, then, you know, pat yourself on the back because you did it. But if you are struggling to figure out who you're missing, and Mr. Impossible is the final one you're missing, this will show you how to get things started. So as I mentioned a little bit earlier, supposedly I've heard rumors that there is lost cargo on those kind of sheets of ice outside of that bunker where the ghost mech fight is. But here we are at a road builder. I think they're called like road layer or track layer or something like that, unless that's the thing for the rail system. Anyway, you know that we've had them in both games. You put metal and ceramics into them, you can build the roads, and I do suggest you build a lot of roads for this particular facility. Mr. Impossible's final mission is a very fun challenge, but it is going to require you to drive about 3/4 of the map around to all 7 brigand camps and pull a piece of cargo from each camp. So if you don't have all the roads built, and if you don't have most of them, if not all of them, upgraded so that you can drive as fast as possible, then you're probably not going to make it. So anyway, I just picked up the cargo here. This was the one piece of lost cargo that I was able to find. It is on the side of a mountain. This is kind of equidistant from Lone Commander and F5, right in between them, and it is up on a very small kind of peak that is above Mr. Impossible's facility. I didn't show you the map where I was, and it was a little hard to tell where I was, so I'm going to show you this right here. This is capture I just made. Now, of course, this is after I put all the roads in. I've upgraded most of the roads, and I've played through the rest of the game. I've gotten the platinum. I've done all that, but I'm showing you here. So imagine it is right where the road is covering. I'm going to mark it with a marker, but here it is on the map. It's in this small indented space here in between these two little peaks. This is almost exactly directly west of the Lone Commander and almost exactly east from F5. Mr. Impossible is on the right side of the map there, if you can see. And I don't show Lone Commander, but yeah, if you follow that line down to the east, you'll see Lone Commander. So you would want to head from Lone Commander directly west to get to this point. It's right where I put that marker A, and almost directly east of F5, as I showed it earlier. This is the one place I found it. Again, all those little pieces of ice down in the water next to the bunker where the ghost mech fight was. That is another place I've heard you can find lost cargo for Mr. Impossible. And there's F5. Took me a while to find one piece of lost cargo. I don't know. I've never been able to find any other lost cargo for them. In fact, I tried to reenact finding this lost cargo. Sometimes once you pick up lost cargo and you turn it in, a couple hours of gameplay later, you'll see it again. But this, I never saw again. So it's not there. But it is where I marked there with the A. It is down a hill that has a nice line of these little trees on it. You should be able to find it pretty easily. So we're back to the original capture. When I found the lost cargo, I'm traveling down to Mr. Impossible's facility. We're going to turn it in. I discovered the facility itself after the ghost mech fight. That is part of the story in that bunker. But you can't do anything until you find lost cargo. You can't initiate the next part of the steps. So finding the lost cargo is great and all, and turning it in. But unfortunately, they're not going to allow you to connect to the network until you complete a suborder. And it is pretty lengthy. I should also mention I cut out all of the F-bombs because these guys have potty mouths. So here we are in the story. Again, this is post-game, post-story. You might be able to stumble upon them, find the lost cargo, and turn this in. Actually, maybe this is not post-game. This might be actually before finishing the game. I'm not 100% sure, unfortunately. But, you know, it was the only piece of the map that I had not fully connected yet. And I am going to show you retrieving all three of these pieces. So there's one on top of the F5 facility. There's one inside the bunker that had the ghost mech fight. And there's one that is very close to a track layer for the monorail system. They kind of form a triangle together. So I went about my business. I did a bunch of standard orders. And again, I'm going to assume this was after the game was complete, because I think I have the Odra or I'm sorry, the Cupid turned on so that we don't have to deal with any ghost mechs, because we are going to go into that bunker where the ghost mech fight was, and you certainly want to turn off ghost mechs because there's BTs crawling all over that place, and you don't want to have to deal with BTs and ghost mechs at the same time. It's just not going to make things any easier. So as I said, I went and did a bunch of standard orders, and then I did end up going back to F5. I rested, and I was ready and willing to do this order in its completion from F5 over to the monorail track layer, and then over to the bunker, and then straight over to Mr. Impossible. You want to do this, you don't have, this isn't a timed one. They do have a lot of orders that kind of are express. A lot of their orders are just very challenging and have a lot of fun aspects to them that remind me of the first game a lot more, you know, because the first game you had to do all those timed missions, and it was so fun to just kind of set up your zip lines so that you could just make it in time and get an S rank. This game does not really have that challenge, except for Mr. Impossible. A couple timed runs, and I wasn't even able to get an S rank on one of their express runs from the Lone Commander, which is like the closest place, but I just never bothered setting up a zip line. Probably would have gotten it S rank first try if I had zip lines set up. So I did set up zip lines to Mr. Impossible, and we will take a look at those in the next, well, the last section of this series of videos, all about connecting and getting to 5 stars. Look at me, I'm all excited about zip lines and all sorts of stuff, and I'm gabbing away here. I failed to point it out as it was happening. So it's at the top of this facility. If you take 2 ladders and you put them together on either side of the facility, you should go straight up. But there was a ladder on top of a kind of platform. So we used one ladder to get up to the platform and used the existing ladder that was there to get to the top. We're going to grab it. It's in the front, kind of close to where the rail comes out of the facility. And we're going to grab it. So again, as I said, you're not timed on these missions. You can take as long as you need to, but these 3 packages are kind of fragile. You don't want to put them in your truck and end up destroying one of them or damaging one of them, because you want as high of a ranking as you can get when you turn these 3 in. We were already at nearly 1 star by turning the lost cargo in. By the time we turn all 3 packages in good condition, we will be at almost a full 2 stars. I imagine if you turn them in and they are not in mint condition, you could end up running into some issues. We're going down the other side. I didn't realize this until I had used the ladder and I got to the bottom. And so this was already here as well. Someone else had put 2 ladders together, and it directly goes to the top, as you can see. And if you're not familiar with how that works, you just select the ladder structure, equip it, and when you're about to put the ladder up, you can hit triangle that will connect 2 ladders, and make it twice as long. That's, of course, if you have 2 ladders in your backpack. So that's how that works. So we have collected the first of 3. And I am going to run out to the front and quickly show you where the next location is. You can see the circle there off in the distance, about 900 meters. And it is right next to that track layer for the monorail system. So I'm going to get my vehicle. Here, I'm showing here on the map where the next one is. Again, this forms kind of a triangle, these 3. And then if you add Mr. Impossible's facility to it, it makes kind of a equilateral triangle. Nearly exact same length from, or distance from F5 to Mr. Impossible to the track layer. And the bunker is in the middle, in between Mr. Impossible and the track layer. So I'm going to give you a full disclosure for this one. We're going to roll up to it, and I'm going to see a chiral bridge here, which is going to make me think that the cargo is on top of the track layer. The kind of flat surface there that you see that has the blue light on it. And I cut it out. I know, sorry, but I'm sure you didn't want to see this. I try to use the chiral bridge to jump over to the track layer, and it is so far away from reaching it that I die, and I try it like 3 or 4 times. So what I should do here at this very moment is scan for the cargo, and I don't. I just assume it's on there. So when you arrive here, I suggest you scan for the cargo, see if it is on top of there, and if you don't have a chiral bridge there that leads you to the top of that track layer, if it is on there, then go ahead and throw one down, get as close as you can, and then grab your sticky gun. You should have you should always have a sticky gun on you, especially for this. And then use your sticky gun to grab it, because you will not be able to reach the top of that track layer. It's going to be impossible. If it ends up being down on the ground underneath the base of the track layer, then there you go. Real easy to get. Just run over and get it. Again, what I did was I attempted to jump to the top of the track layer. I fell off of that chiral bridge. I died. I did it a couple times. When I reloaded the save, I think it recorded that I had done all that and died. And the package, the cargo, was down there. So either it fell off the track layer and originally was up there, and I could have used the sticky gun to grab it, or it always was exactly where it's located right now. So make sure that you check that out before you go jumping off of anything and killing yourself. As dumb as I was. And you'll watch here, I try to, I display using the sticky gun in the event that the package is there, and I nearly fall off this chiral bridge again. So if it happens to be up there, just use your sticky gun. Simple, simple. And watch me almost fall right off. I'm trying to grab it from here, which is also dumb. See, look at that. I'm hovering on the chiral bridge. Should not have done that. Anyway, get off that, and when you get close to this track layer, wherever it is, you'll know, and you'll be able to pick it up. And you probably won't even need the sticky gun to get it, but if you do, there you go. Make sure you bring it with you. See, to me, that does not look like a place they would put lost cargo in between two little rocks for you to find. Yeah, so I'm thinking it probably fell and rolled into that spot and stopped there down this long hill. And again, I've had cargo do that for other missions, especially those recovery missions that you have to do for Season Porter, especially in the mountains when it's snowy. I've seen cargo fall hundreds of meters, and almost fall off the map to the point where they're definitely not in the area they're supposed to be. And that's just simply gravity, or, if you get into like a little fight with because there's ghost mechs in the one area I'm thinking of near the Eastern Environmental Observatory, I think, where you have to recover stuff for either for him or for the aeronautical engineer. There's a ghost mech fight that's right there. And so damage, gunfire and so forth could make packages move. So that makes me think it probably fell as I was attempting to get it. So make sure you scan, look for it when you arrive there the first time, and don't make the mistakes I made. So here we are pulling up to the final third piece of cargo that we need to get, and it is inside this bunker. Again, this should look familiar to you. This is part of the story. This part isn't, but this location is part of a ghost mech fight. I believe Tarman, or whatever the mannequin head is called at the time, if it's still a mannequin head, one of them tells you to go to this, and you have to like disable two, I want to say they're like security towers or something inside it. One's on like the first floor, one's on the second floor, or something like that. And there's a ton of ghost mechs that you have to fight. There's a couple big dudes. I think it might be like one of the first times you meet the big ghost mechs. And Dollman like starts freaking out and stuff. So this place should be familiar to you if you've gone through the story. But if you are done with the story, make sure that your Cupid is turned on. I believe that's the correct situation. Turn it on so you don't have ghost mechs, so you don't have to worry about them being in here if they are. So, but there is a ton of BTs, especially these golden ones. They move really fast and they sweep back and forth, and they seem to be a little bit more perceptive. But if you can cut their cord, they definitely give you a lot more chiral crystals, so that's always a little bit of a benefit. At this point in the game, I have the APAS functionality where I'm collecting crystals from the environment at all times, so I am swimming in chiral crystals, but more never hurts. You can always use chiral crystals to repair structures, add them to roads, to tracks, to everything else. Use them for upgrades. It's always good to have. So I'm going to slowly walk to the location. You can see it right there on the next floor. You're going to need, I think I have to use 2 ladders put together in order to get to it, because it's on kind of a rail above, like an I-beam above the second floor location. I do want to point out, I don't show it in the video, I did cut it out, but some of the BTs in this area are hyper perceptive, and even if you're on the second floor and they're on the first floor, they will notice you even if you can't see them. So, it's best to come in here with as much stamina as you have. You want to hold your breath whenever you can. I don't bother holding my breath here, and there's someone right under me, and I do cut it out like I said, but when I get to the location where the package is and I'm about to grab it, they notice me and they start grabbing at me. So it's over there. Well, it looks like it's probably a different BT that notices me then. Probably the one that the Ultra Deck is pointing at right now. So there it is. You want to get 2 ladders, and it's best to get a little bit more of an angle than I end up doing here, because it is very risky how I land on the support beams up there. It is very possible to fall to your death here, so, or at least fall to a situation that you're gonna make a lot of noise and then you got more BTs on you. So just be careful. And if you can, try to lay the ladder so that it reaches the support beam and doesn't leave a lot of slack at the top for Sam to fall off of and land precariously who knows where. So we're going to try to grab, again, we have multiple ladders. You always want to have at least 2 ladders on you for each one of these. So 4 ladders altogether if you're doing all 3 of these collections. And you see how far above the I-beam it goes with the support beam. We're going to travel quickly, which I probably shouldn't have done either. I was hoping I was going to be able to grab it, but because triangle is the same button in order to operate the ladder. No, it's not. Square is. I don't know, but I was not able to grab it. Luckily, I landed exactly where I needed to, and I was able to get back on the ladder. And I did have a BT fight there a little earlier that I did cut out. Because you don't want to have to deal with any BTs. Once you have the cargo, you don't want it damaged at all. You want as high of a rank as you can get. So I am going to work my way to the back of this location. Unfortunately, I didn't realize, because I was a little on edge, I didn't realize that I was on the opposite side that I started on. So I am going to use these steps. I think I might have to take out 1 or 2 more BTs by cutting the cords. But once we do that, we're going to get to the ground level, and then I'm going to walk around to the front of the bunker so that I can get to my truck and deliver all 3 packages in perfect condition. So I'll let that play out. No need to gab anymore, but again, you'll see me land and realize that I am on the wrong side of the location and I have to walk around, and I'll cut out walking to the front of it. No need to take up more time in this video for that. Made it back to the truck. I am going to speed it up, double time the trip back to Mr. Impossible. Pretty easy to figure out where you need to go. You can go there directly for the most part on the flat surface if you want to drive around the bunker so that you don't get attacked by a BT, or you can go up to the kind of peak incline there and then go over and then back down to where Mr. Impossible is. Again, this is double time. I will show you the whole path, but how you go is up to you and pretty simple. There's also not too many kind of scary bumps along the way that would damage cargo as far as I found. I guess I am probably going pretty slowly and being pretty careful how I travel. I'm picking the flattest surfaces, so I guess it is kind of important to pay attention to where you're going so that you don't damage it. And certainly don't run into any of these trees. It always surprises me how, like, these trees, some of them seem like they're little twigs, but they will stop you dead in your track and damage your package for like 9% of damage. It's ridiculous. Also, make sure you're not carrying so large of a load on your back that one of your cargo gets knocked off, because that might damage it as well. All right, we're going to turn this in. We are going to cut out some of the colorful language from Mr. Impossible, or Bacharaka, whenever they're called in real life. And we are going to get the trophy. You'll see this in just a quick minute.
This cargo's condition is... Damn, man! You're good at this! You passed the test, bro. You really might have what it takes to conquer humanity's limitations. Okay, you know what? We're giving you the green light to connect us to the chiral network. Hook us up, brother!
So we will be spending just as long looking at a lot of Mr. Impossible's orders, and certainly their final order, and that might be an hour in itself because it takes about 45 minutes to do. But, you know, keep delivering to Mr. Impossible when you can. They give you a couple things. They give you upgrades to the masks that you've already received, and a couple items for your private room. And then their final reward is something that is very, very useful. But we will take a look at that much later. And of course, they're alluding to their orders being very difficult and challenging. And I think you can do it. If you did this, you can do that. Hope this helped. See you in the next one. Take care.